Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. This story is about, what if Naruto turned Super Saiyan? If you enjoy watching my videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to never miss out when I post videos. Let me know down in the comments if you want more parts of this series. With all that said, let's start the video. Prologue/Chapter 1. Vegeta growled softly as the dimensional rift at Janemba opened, then threw him into it. Cursing the purple creature, and hoped secretly that Kakarot found a way to defeat and destroy him. Probably fused with his brat, was his stray thought as finally the rift opened, causing the Prince of Saiyans to plummet, but instead of crashing into the ground he landed on something soft and furry. Confused, he slowly got to his hands and knees. Staring down, he saw a large hill of red fur, and some 40 yards away he spotted arguably the second largest animal head he had ever known, aside from his own in his Oozuru form. What is going on? He didn't have to wonder long as a huge roar of rage sounded around him. I will not be resealed. This caused the Saiyan prince to ponder what the heck that meant before something odd started to occur. He saw the large creature's head lose all kinds of cohesion and start spiraling downward. Before he could even begin to understand what was going on, he felt himself getting pulled down into the same spiral as well. The last thing he saw before blacking out was him spiraling toward the stomach of an infant and seeing the infant's parents bleeding profusely from a massive hole in their stomachs. What happened? What have I fallen into? Bah damn you, Kakarot, this is something that could only involve you in some way. XXX, it took Vegeta a few minutes to realize he was in a dark space and his only company was the massive creature that he had been dragged in with. He also noted that all his injuries from his fight with Janemba had been healed and felt the Zenkai boost he got from those injuries healing. Looking up at his roommate, he gauged the creature's appearance was that of a giant fox. Great, I'm stuck in wherever this place is with an overgrown furball with a birth defect, honestly. 9 tails. Who are you besides making for a delicious light snack? The Kyuubi growled, lunging his paw forward only for the Saiyan to stop it with a single finger. Vegeta gauged the huge monster's power level. Bah. You bore me, creature, your power level isn't any higher than that pathetic older brother of Kakarot, Raditz. Really only 1,500. I am the strongest Biju in the world. The only one to surpass me was the Sage of the Six Paths, the fox explained, only for the Saiyan prince to laugh. If you're the strongest of this world, then this planet is utterly pathetic. The prince looked around and could sense both his and the fox's energy draining. I feel a pull on my energy. We were sealed by the Shinigami. The Gaki's parents sacrificed themselves to prevent me from running amok, the fox growled. If that fucking Uchiha hadn't been there, I could have ran for it, but no, his infernal Sharingan and his infernal Genjutsu. The Saiyan prince crossed his arms over his chest, looking up at the fox. We appear to have plenty of time, so explain to me about this world. Though reluctant, the fox explained to the Saiyan about the ins and outs of the shinobi world, the 5 great shinobi nations, his hatred of the humans, his fellow Biju, the sage of the 6 paths, the Uchiha, the Senju, and the Uzumaki clans, as well as stating all 3 descended from the sage. When he was finished, the Saiyan prince pursed his lips in thought. I see, interesting. This Madara Uchiha's power level would probably be on par with that of Zarbon's base form, and if you combined with the Gaki, we are sealed in you. Browse just in community forum Beta's story search Dragon Ball Z plus Naruto crossover /Dragon Ball Z _N_Naruto crossovers /83/1402/ plus could reach the power level of Zarbon's transformed state. The lot of you are weak. I bet I could kill this Sage of the 6 Paths without even using 1% of my power, Vegeta thinking, looking up at the seal, then over at the huge fox, then smirked. And I think I know a way to free myself from this stupid seal and give the Gaki a chance to get revenge on this Uchiha who killed his parents. And what way would that be? Fully little Ninjen, the fox growled, though he was worried this little being had stopped his attack with a mere finger and called the father of Shinobi a weakling. But it was the strange gleam in the Saiyan's eye that put the fox on guard. Vegeta smirked, slowly lifting into the air until he came level with the fox's face. So this seal will be able to draw this chakra from your body over time. I wonder what would happen to your chakra if I destroyed your body. Well, only one way to find out. Vegeta powered up and brought his arms out, spread eagle, final. The Saiyan brought his hands together and a massive ball of energy appeared. Before the fox reacted, the energy lanced out toward it. Flash, the fox barely registered the pain before it vanished in a massive explosion. Once the smoke cleared, all that was left a large energy outline of the fox before the energy was pulled toward the pipes lining the walls and disappeared. Just as I figured, Vegeta said softly, looking around, and grumbled in annoyance. Great, now I have to wait until the Gaki gets pulled in before I can bestow my powers to him. Maybe I should have waited until then to kill the furball. Bah, I didn't need the headache. What do you mean I can't take him? Hiruzen cringed, looking at the dark-haired and dark-eyed woman resembling most of her clan. He is my godson. I'm sorry, the civilian council already pushed the motion through. No one is allowed to adopt him. Mikoto, I'm sorry, the old Hokage stated sadly. Mikoto's eyes were filled with rage and sadness. Who told them? What asshole told them about the seal? I suspect Danzo or your husband. I have no concrete evidence, so I'm leaning more towards Danzo, Sarutobi explained. Doubly so since he's already petitioning to have Naruto placed in his root program. Absolutely not, that would weaken or destroy everything Minato and Kushina died for. Mikoto's own knowledge of seals hailing from her friendship with Kushina and her training from Jiraiya as a part of his Genin squad. I agree, Sarutobi sighed heavily. Suddenly both of them felt a massive surge of chakra. What was that? He whispered when a bright flash appeared from the bassinet that was holding Naruto. Both Mikoto and Sarutobi ran over and looked down to see Naruto, glowing chakra pulsing all around him for a second before slowly dying down. When it was done, they saw Naruto's hair change from blonde to a reddish-orange. Outside of that, not much changed. The seal also changed slightly. Sarutobi turned to the ANBU in the room. Get me Jiraiya, today. Jiraiya stared intently at the seal a few minutes before standing at his full height and scratching his head in abject confusion. According to the seal, the fox's chakra has fully been absorbed, but something is still sealed inside, though for the life of me I don't know what. Damn, this is confusing. The fox is dead? Mikoto asked, looking hopeful. Yes, but for the life of me I don't know how. It would take unfathomable power to accomplish it. Jiraiya crossed his arms, shuddering. Sensei, whatever killed the fox is still inside the seal. That's why we still have a seal, and whatever it is by far thousands of times stronger than any Biju. Your recommendation? Sarutobi asked. The Toad Sage glanced at Mikoto, no doubt hoping to get to finally take her godson and raise him. However, Jiraiya was worried about this thing that killed the fox could be possibly an even bigger threat. With a heavy heart and sigh, change nothing. What? Mikoto shouted. No, I refuse to let you both do this. I promised Kushina to look after him if something happened to her, the exact same promise you made to Minato, Jiraiya-sensei. Do you seriously believe I want to do this, Mikoto? Jiraiya shouted back. Do you seriously think I want him thrown to the wolves? There are two factors we have to take into account, Minato's enemies and the fact we can't trust your husband. Mikoto winced, looking down. You seriously believe Fugaku would corrupt Naruto in some way? That, or try to kill him, and not for being a Jinchuriki. He despised Minato and Kushina, wasn't even secretive about it. I know you have your heart set on it, Mikoto, and I would gladly do the same, but we draw too many lines straight to Naruto. While Inoki has no real ill will toward the Konoha, many of his shinobi do, and they'll want to destroy what's left of his legacy. I want to protect both, so as much as it pains me I have to let Naruto go. At least until the Chunin exams, after that I'll make him my apprentice. Mikoto slumped down, tears falling from her eyes, glancing at the bassinet holding her godson. Every maternal instinct in her was screaming to grab the boy and run, but it was clashing with the fact she had 2 sons already. Sobbing in guilt and remorse for what she was being forced to do, she nodded, if I can't raise him, I at least want to watch over him. If those orphanage matrons so much as lifts one finger on his head except to clean it or pat it for being a good boy, I want full permission to slaughter them if they raise their hands in anger. Sarutobi nodded, looking grim. Understood, and I'll make sure they know you'll be overseeing his care from a distance. With a silent nod the Uchiha matriarch left. Chapter 1. The Saiyan prince had mostly watched his charge as the both boys struggled daily with the glares, cold shoulders, and a few times on his birthday physical attacks. These benefited the boy more than even he knew. These idiots don't realize what they are dealing with. The boy is slowly turning into a Saiyan, and the Zenkai boosts they give him during these assaults only makes him stronger. Then Mizuki tries to kill him, and only firms the Gaki's resolve. I felt an even bigger draw a couple of weeks ago, I wonder what happened. Then, Vegeta frowned, remembering the draw brought about by intense sadness and rage, almost even to go Super Saiyan if the Gaki had all his power. What will it take to get him draw on my powers enough to pull him in and speak to him, he thought, noting a huge new barrier appearing over the cage. The Saiyan prince snorted, extending his hand and blasting the barrier before it could settle in the real world. It blasted Orochimaru across the forest canopy, but the impact from the initial seal still rendered the boy unconscious. The perfect opportunity for Vegeta to finally pull Naruto into his seal. Where am I? Naruto asked groggily. You're in the seal, Yugaki, stated a voice. Do you have any idea how long I've been trying to do this? The whiskered-marked Jinchuriki spun and came face to face with something he wasn't expecting, a man only slightly taller than himself. Are you the fox? The fox has been dead since you were a day old, Gaki. No, I am Vegeta, and I am the prince of all Saiyans, the man stated, crossing his arms. Really? Wow, that's kinda cool. So, what do you want? Naruto asked nervously. To get out of this cage for one, but if I did it the old-fashioned way you'd die, the Saiyan prince stated coolly. Plus it would waste the potential to bring forth a new Saiyan race into this world. So here is my proposal: take the seal off and absorb all that I am into you, my knowledge, my strength, my abilities, and my DNA, to become the first of a new breed of Saiyan, to combine this chakra and ki into something infinitely more powerful. And what's the catch? Naruto asked, not trusting the man completely, who simply smiled. Not as dumb as you betray, Gaki. Fine, the catch is I want to die in this world so those I left behind will YSH me back with the Dragon Balls and return me home. This will grant me a massive Zenkai boost, hopefully to put me on par with Kakarot, Vegeta explained. Aside from my powers and abilities you'll be given from this, I'll use the second and third wish to return your parents to you, considering they reside, albeit partially, in the seal, though I'm not 100% sure it can be done, the Saiyan stated, pointing at the slip of paper. However, I feel their souls and they are lying dormant. This leaves me to believe they wanted to meet with you at some point in your life, mostly likely it was to deal with the giant furball. Naruto looked at the seal, shaking slightly, almost wanting to rip the seal off. Just finally meet his parents. The deal that was given to him had almost zero downsides. If anything, it was arguably the sweetest deal anyone could possibly make. Power strong enough to kill a Biju and to have his parents in his life again. It's too good to be true, he whispered sadly. I have seen your life, Naruto, Vegeta being uncharacteristically sympathetic. If anything, this is the least anyone can do for you for suffering you've had. May whatever deity you would have to give you this, I feel you deserve them 10 times over, and that is coming from someone who blew up planets for fun in my youth. Looking pale at the mention of destroying an entire planet so casually, not even the Biju capable of such a feat. Why, you really blew up an entire planet? Several. Actually, your planet's strongest warrior, this sage of the six paths Shinra Tensei technique, could create a huge crater. Its power level I roughly surmise would be about 560. Though gauging it without first-hand seeing it is moronic at best, Vegeta paused. However, with that in mind, this man at most had a power level was 2,500 strong, but not enough to do more than make the surface uninhabitable. The same with this Madara Uchiha. The fox cursed about their strength and speed, barely scratched the sound barrier. The strongest of us, if he wasn't a complete baka, could destroy an entire galaxy if he wanted to. The Saiyan prince let loose a snicker, mentioning his longtime rival. What are you? Naruto asked tentatively. Vegeta growled slightly, I'm the second strongest in our universe. Followed by the Baka's Gaki, then my son and the Baka's second brat, then the Namekian, and finally the Q. Ball's wife. You'll understand what I mean when I give you my abilities. Naruto nodded, thinking hard before taking a deep breath and walking up to the cage door, taking a shuddering breath, his hand hovering of the paper seal. With brief swish of his hand, the seal was gone, revealing a strange spiraling mechanism. However, this was rendered mute as Vegeta slammed his palm into the door, sending the gate flying over Naruto. No sooner the gate crashed to the ground, two figures appeared between him and Vegeta. Is what you say true? The male figure stated as the dim gloom of the sewer changed into a brightly lit white space. Naruto, however, recognized the man instantly. The fourth Hokage. The woman standing next to the man looked equally confused, expecting to see a large fox looming over them. Are you my cousin and Tusan? The woman had long flowing red hair with deep violet-colored eyes, staring back at the boy with such love and compassion it caused Naruto ache. The woman knelt and stretched her arms wide, and it was all the invitation the whisker-marked blonde needed. Flinging himself at the woman. Oh my Sochi, the woman whispered, tears streaming down her face, as she enveloped her son in a warm embrace. Cousin, Naruto whimpered over and over, sobbing. I take it you heard from the seal. And yes, what I say is true. However, I'm not 100% positive you can be revived. Simply stated, it is a gamble. Your souls have not fully gone to the other world yet, therefore it is possible that the Dragon Balls will revive you, Vegeta explained. I'll take anything at this moment, Minato Namikaze stated softly. I also agree with what you're about to do. If anything, I like to join you, give all my experience to Sochi. Kushina. Uzumaki nodded. Then let us begin. Vegeta walked up, putting both his hands on Naruto's shoulders. Now the two of you put a hand on my shoulder. When the fusion begins we will vanish and officially die, leaving everything to your Gaki, and I pity all those he encounters afterward, for they are in for a world of hurt to anyone that pisses him off. Both Kushina and Naruto cackle slightly. Few seconds later the entire area glowed. Purunga, my first wish is to revive Vegeta and bring him forth to this world, Den shouted. Your wish is granted, the huge muscled dragon spoke. A flash later and Vegeta stood looking around before crossing his arms, glaring at Goku and Den. Took you long enough. I've been waiting for 13 years, Kakarot, the Saiyan prince scowled. Goku blinked, scratching the back of his head in confusion. Really, wow, the time jump is amazing. It's only been what, a month, Den? Not even that. 3 weeks since Janemba. He's dead, by the way, Den explained. What is your second wish? The dragon growled, looking on impatiently. Vegeta stepped forward, looking up at something 10 years ago he would have gladly asked for: immortality. Den, the world I came from. 2 people sacrificed their lives to protect their home and son, sealing a part of their souls into a seal to help maintain it. Even though their physical bodies had expired, does that include their souls? Dend looked confused but addressed the Namekian dragon and its reply, no. Their souls had not been sent to Otherworld until recently, therefore the deaths count as recent. Do you wish for them to be revived? Yes. For the second wish I like to see Minato Namikaze revived, and for the third I like to see Kushina Uzumaki revived, Vegeta stated to Dend, who relayed the wishes to the dragon, whose eyes glowed with each wish. With that the Dragon Balls zoomed into the air, then split soared into 7 different directions. Both Dend and Goku were smiling at the Saiyan Prince. What? I'm amazed at you, Vegeta. It's the first time I believe you were thinking of someone other than yourself, Dend stated. Vegeta growled, turning his head, his cheeks turning pink. Bah, I did it to pay back this Gaki I met. In return of getting a massive Zenkai boost, I gave him my knowledge and powers, as well as giving him back his parents, considering his life was worse than mine. Goku patted the prince on the shoulder. I get it, you're all right. Shut up, Kakarot. When we return to the Earth you owe me a spar and an explanation on how you defeated that red-skinned goofball Janemba, the Saiyan Prince states. Sure, but can we stop back at my home? I'm a bit hungry, Goku stated, a bright smile on his face. Fine, Vegeta's own stomach growled. I hope your woman doesn't mind cooking for one more. Nah, Chi won't mind. I think, Goku chuckled, putting his fingers to his forehead as he grabbed both Vegeta and Dend. A second later, with a brief goodbye to the gather Namex, the trio vanished. Chapter 2. 2 figures appeared in a large rocky area some 2 miles outside Konoha. One was dressed as he died, wearing his Jonin attire with the 4th Hokage cloak, white with red flames on the hem. Next to him stood a beautiful redhead, dressed not in the maternity clothes she wore when she died, but an outfit that often depicted her secondary title of Red Death, a sleek blood-red body suit, an armor harness that crisscrossed between her breasts with armor that protected her shoulders, armored-backed fingerless gloves, shinobi boots that extended to her knees, her Konoha headband tied to her forehead. She bore 2 kodachi, one strapped to her right shoulder and the second across her back. It would seem that Vegeta-sama wishes were granted, Kushina-chan. Kushina nodded, her eyes darting around for a second. According to what we saw in his memories, Sochi and his team are in the Forest of Death taking the Chunin exams. Yeah, Minato frowned heavily, focusing on the Hiratian seals he had placed in secure areas around Konoha in case he needed to be there at a moment's notice. Most of the seals are still intact. Care to scare an old man shitless? Kushina smiled, an evil fox-like smile, the same kind Naruto would get before pulling a massive prank. Oh yes, I have a couple of people I want to talk to, namely Sochi's godparents, and they better have a really good reason for neglecting their duties, or Kami help them. The blonde former Hokage shuddered internally. Few things scared him, but an angry Kushina downright terrified him. He wrapped an arm around his wife's waist, and in a yellow flash the 2 vanished from the field. Naruto sat up, looking around. He spotted Sasuke unconscious next to him, sweating profusely, and from what the whisker-marked Saiyan could sense, the Uchiha's chakra was becoming foul and tainted. However, he could sense a power level just outside. Jumping to his feet, Naruto raced out, instantly on guard, seeing the Otonin from the first exam in periodic states. The kunoichi of the group was down, bleeding from her mouth. The one who looked like a mummy was slowly standing up, while the one with the wild-haired had Sakura down, his fist reared back. When this one let his fist fly, slamming into Sakura's cheek, something in Naruto just snapped. Why you touched my Sakura? Everyone looked up as a massive blast of energy exploded out of the whisker-marked Saiyan. A second later, Naruto vanished and reappeared on top of the wild-haired Otonin, who barely had a chance to register shock before his head was literally caved in by a punch so fast and hard that the very air made a thunderclap. The Otonin was dead before his body went flying into the forest at supersonic speed. Naruto vanished again. The mummy Otonin tried to dodge the incoming blow he knew was coming, but he might as well be moving in tar. The strike was just too fast. Elbow embedded in his gut liquefied his internal organs before he too vanished into the forest, his body getting blasted away by the impact. The orange-haired Saiyan turned to the lone Kunoichi walking up to her and extended his hand, a ball of energy forming. "Give me one good reason not to end your miserable life," he stated coldly. Naruto, stop, he heard Sakura stated, trying to stand, her face and body looking battered from her defense of her teammates as Team Guy and Team 10 looked on in awed horror. They had never seen anyone in their lives move that fast, not even Guy and Lee could move that fast using the gates unless they opened them all. Her and her teammates attacked us in attempt to kill us. Give me one good reason not to remove her from this mortal coil, Naruto stated surprisingly viciously to those in the group that knew him from the academy. Sakura stood there stunned. What did that Orochimaru guy do to you, Naruto? The rosette-haired girl walked up to him and did something uncharacteristic for her. She put her arms around him. Please, she's not worth it. She heard a sigh and felt more than saw him drop his hand. She then felt him turn in her arms and pull her into his arms. The moment those two arms wrapped around her, she felt safe, warmth. She was also a bit annoyed though now that she felt danger had passed. "And who said I was yours?" she muttered, trying to step away only for Naruto to hold her in place. She looked up into Naruto's eyes and what she saw startled her. "You are too good for Sasuke," came the reply, and before she could protest the orange-haired Saiyan zipped in, kissing the rosette deeply and passionately. Fireworks exploded in Sakura's mind. At first she wanted to hammer Naruto, but as the kiss lingered she felt her hands slowly go from pushing him away to simply staying in place to slowly snaking their way around Naruto's neck, one hand desperately grabbing the fabric of his jumpsuit while the other was actually pushing the back of his head into her more. "I'm kissing Naruto," and her mind came to a brief halt as she melted into the kiss more. "Oh Kami, he's good." When they finally separated, Naruto took 2 steps back, admiring his handiwork, glancing at the other gathered, smirking at the dumbfounded expressions, not mention nosebleeds, coming from Ino, the Oto Kunoichi, and Tenten. Meanwhile, inner Sakura had her own 2 cents to add. "Sasuke, who? Do you have a scroll?" turning to the Otonin, who nodded, handing it to him. Naruto looked at before slipping it into his hip pouch, as the group slowly came back to themselves. Sakura slowly crawled out of her kiss-induced stupor. She glanced at Naruto and blushed. Team Guy left after making sure Naruto and Sakura were good. Team 10 left after Ino helped Sakura straighten her hair. The lone Oto Kunoichi, however, had been tied up. No sooner had Sakura finished the last knot, Naruto felt Sasuke wake up. "Sakura, better guard our prisoner." Before asking what he meant, she saw Sasuke appear. "Sasuke, are you alright?" she asked, not noticing she didn't use the kun suffix. It did hurt that Naruto hadn't called her Sakura-chan though. "Never felt better," came the cold reply. "Like to try my new power though." Sasuke glanced around, then focused on the tied-up Kunoichi. "She'll do. Maybe after I break her I'll use her to revive my clan." The Uchiha paused as if to think about it. Yes, that sounds perfect." The Oto Kunoichi tensed in fear before the orange-clad boy stepped in between her and the Uchiha. "Not going to happen, team, so get whatever perverted shit in your head out." Sakura watched on, horrified. "Did I just hear Sasuke say he was going to rape that girl after he beat her up while she's defenseless? That can't be true." "Get out my way, Dobe, it's not like you can beat me," Sasuke sneered. Naruto snorted, crossing his arms over his chest. "That power boost you got has 2 things working against you. 1, it makes you a pansy since you can't do anything on your own, and 2, it don't hold a candle to the power boost I just got. So unless you want your spleen pulverized, you'll back off. This girl is going to INT." Said girl nodded frantically. She'd gladly take that over the prospects of getting beaten and raped repeatedly by that monster. Sasuke ran forward. Kunai-drawn Sakura shouted for him to stop. He ignored her. Annoying little bitch. After I take care of Naruto and have my fun with the whore behind him, I'll kill her. Claim Naruto did it. Running in, seeing Naruto hadn't even brought out a kunai defend himself, lunged forward only to be intercepted by Naruto's finger. The Uchiha repeatedly tried to stab Naruto with the kunai, only meeting each strike with his finger, which wasn't even bleeding. It's not possible. How can he be that fast? He was never that fast before. What was he? Even more infuriating was Naruto's expression. He looked bored to tears. Gur. Jumping back, Sasuke went through a series of hand signs, fire style, fireball, jutsu. He watched in satisfaction as both Naruto and the Oto Kunoichi were enveloped. Now Sakura, hold still, this will only hurt for a moment, he stated cruelly, turning to the rosette-haired girl, who looked on in confusion for a second until she saw her crush drawing another kunai. Oh, you didn't just imply you were going to attack Sakura-chan, came a voice from the smoke, causing the Uchiha to spin around. He saw Naruto step out of the smoke completely unharmed along with the Otonin. For the second time since entering the forest of death, Sasuke felt terrified. How? Naruto glared coldly at him before seemingly vanishing and reappearing right in front of him, grabbing his shirt. Listen here, you team, I can take you bad-mouthing me, trying to burn me or kill me, but no one threatened Sakura, the orange-haired Saiyan growled. She is off limits, period, and if I didn't need you for this second exam, or that would make Sakura cry, I'd have killed you for even thinking of laying a hand on her. Do I make myself absolutely clear? How did you get that kind of power? Sasuke growled in anger, fear, and envy. Do I make myself absolutely clear? Naruto growled through his teeth, completely ignoring the Uchiha, increasing his ki with each word. I don't give a shit about your stupid revenge against your stupid brother for whatever stupid reason you have. I'm giving you fair warning. You try to betray the village or try to kill anyone I consider precious, I will make sure it's the last thing you do, that is a promise. The Uchiha shivered internally in fear. What he was feeling dwarfed that of Orochimaru or his brother as Naruto shoved him away violently. Okay, we can make it to the tower now, thanks to, what is your name by the way? Naruto turning to the Otonin. It's Kin, the girl stated, causing Naruto to smile. Right, Kin, thanks to her we got both scrolls, the Saiyan stated. Naruto, that Orochimaru guy swallowed our heaven scroll, we only have the earth, Sakura replied tentatively, then raised an eyebrow as Naruto curled into a ball. No, he didn't, but he did something far worse, Naruto muttered, tears in his eyes. Recovering slightly from his bloodlust, Sasuke snorted, and that would be? He burned up my storage scroll filled with 5 days' worth of Ichiraku ramen, Naruto shuddered. The horror. Sakura huffed, but inwardly she was happy. Apparently not everything about Naruto had changed. She instinctively licked her lips, which had become slightly puffing from the kiss she shared with him, my first kiss, and it was with Naruto of all people, and I liked it. No, not just liked it, I wanted more, I wanted him. What about Sasuke? Sakura glanced at her long-time crush, shuddering, remembering the bloodlust aimed at her. That bastard wanted us dead, and Naruto-kun saved us, protected us. Here's an idea: when we get to the tower, let's have menage a trois with Naruto-kun and Hinata. Her inner personality stated. Sakura frowned slightly. What are you talking about? Inner gave her a lustful grin. Think about it, riding him in a way he'll never forget while we watch little Miss Hyuga princess squirm from Naruto-kun's tongue. Just thinking about it gets my panties wet. The healthy blush decorated her face watching Naruto and Sasuke plan their route to the tower. Naruto was able to surprisingly draw a very detailed map of the closed-in area. Why include Hinata, and why are we even having this conversation? I like Sasuke, not Naruto, I do, right? She asked her inner. First, by what Kakashi-sensei said about Naruto-kun's life, 2 girls is the least amount of payback Whiskers deserves. As for Sasuke, the guy just tried to kill us, only a complete moron or a really bad manga writer would even consider staying with him after something like that. And didn't you hear the passion in Naruto-kun's voice? Didn't you see the unconditional love he has for us in those beautiful baby blue eyes of his? Sakura remembered seeing them just before Naruto kissed her, the same love he poured into the kiss that followed. The same kiss that made her heart pound so hard in her chest. The trek was agreed to. The trio and their prisoner headed in the direction leaping into the trees. Their path took them through forest, having to stop briefly to help a red-haired girl with glasses who being chased by a bear. Naruto turned the huge mammal into tenderloin and was shocked to discover this girl was an Uzumaki. She joined them on their trek to the tower, asking a dozen questions. Upon reaching the tower with no further incidents, they discovered the secret to the scrolls and opened them. Who appeared wasn't someone the trio suspected, and one had a look both confusion and rage. Not possible, I saw your body on the ground, how can you be alive, Kazan? Mikoto Uchiha looked at her son for the first time in 7 years without a henge or clever makeup, and it wasn't even a look of guilt or remorse, no, it was a look of abject disappointment. What you saw was a blood clone. It dissipated 2 days after the massacre. I haven't been in the main compound since you were a year old, Sasuke. Why you left a clone to raise me and Itachi? What kind of mother would do that? Sasuke growled. A mother who outright despised her husband. I didn't want to marry him. I didn't want any children from him. I was forced to crawl into that bastard's bed. Mikoto glared at Sasuke. If it had been my choice, you and your brother would never have existed, at least not in your present forms, reminding me daily what that fucker put me through, the woman cursed. Sasuke stood there stunned at the venom coming from the woman who gave birth to him, in contrast to the clone that raised him who had been far more docile. Then why let me think you were dead? To protect you and your brother. Do you truly think Itachi didn't slaughter his clan unless he had a reason to? Your power-hungry sperm donor wanted to take over the village and kill my godson simply because he was Minato Namikaze's son, Mikoto stated. Sasuke glared at the woman. Then you should went on along with it like a true Uchiha. The Uchiha are a cursed clan, has been since Madara, to be born into that clan, and I'm glad it is almost extinct, Mikoto said, glancing at Naruto, her harsh gaze softening. It's wonderful to finally see you face to face without all the layers of genjutsu and makeup. You look so much like Kushi-chan and Minato-kun. Naruto smiled, scratching the back of his head. Yeah, well, if things were done right, you've probably seen Toussaint and Kazan already. Mikoto winced slightly. Yes, Kushi-chan went on the warpath. I think Jiraiya-sensei is still feeling the effects of it. While Sasuke seethed internally, drawing the conclusion easily that Naruto of all people was his god-brother through the conversation, Sakura was completely stunned for 2 reasons: Sasuke's mother appearance, her animosity toward her own son, and the fact that Mikoto stated Naruto's father was the 4th Hokage, and somehow not only was the 4th alive but so was his wife. Wait, you're saying that the 4th Hokage is alive? Sasuke stiffened, having forgotten who Minato Namikaze was in his anger, or the fact that his mother and Naruto stated that he was alive. Mikoto nodded. Yes, how that came about, however, is classified. Only ones who know are me, Jiraiya-sensei, the 4th Hokage, Kushina Uzumaki, and Naruto here. The Uchiha matriarch gestured, crossing her arms over her chest. Kushi damn near killed the old man when he explained his reasoning. If Minato-kun hadn't been there. She looked up at the ceiling sadly. She wanted so badly to hug the redhead when she saw her, but the heated glare she received when she first appeared made it almost impossible. It was only through explanation and surprisingly her Sensei and the old Hokage taking the blame that saved her from Kushina's anger. When the explanations had been given out and Mikoto told Kushina that she did her best to look after Naruto even after she'd been denied her godparenting rights, that the two had a tearful reunion, hugs and a surprisingly passionate kiss from the redhead that was used as a prank on the two raging perverts in the room, who were blown back by massive nosebleeds. Even Minato had one. Minato-kun has no idea how many times Kushina and I discussed sharing him. I wonder if Kushi-chan's offer is still good. I'm still young and Kushi-chan has no fox in her now. We could provide Minato-kun with the big family he's always wanted, not to mention give Naruto real brothers and sisters. Putting those thoughts aside, focused on her wayward son, godson, and the rosette-haired girl. You've passed the second stage of the exams. She raised an eyebrow at the redhead and brunette in the room. What do we have here? Karen Uzumaki, the redhead stated softly. Mikoto smiled, are you really? Well, that will make Kushi-chan ecstatic. She was afraid her clan was all but dead aside from herself, her Sochi, and her second cousin. She then turned to the tied-up Otonin. And the prisoner? Her name's Kin. Will crazy snake lady in scars be nice to her? Naruto asked. I think she may have info on that Orochimaru team we met in the forest. The Uchiha matriarch glanced at Naruto, then at Kin, and finally at Sasuke. Show me your neck, Sasuke, she said firmly. Sasuke reached up instinctively to the mark on his left shoulder. This caused Mikoto to frown deeply. Better have Kushina look at that. She's already disabled Enko's Heaven's Curse seal. Leave it alone. Sasuke glared at his mother before he could back up any further. Naruto gave him a measured neck chop, knocking him out. There you go. Obesan, Naruto smiled as the dark-haired boy slumped forward for the orange-haired Saiyan to catch him. Mikoto smiled, thank you, Karen. Kin, come with me. Naruto, you and Sakura are free to roam. There are rooms down the hall and to the right for you to sleep, and there's a kitchen to left if you're hungry. Kushi-chan and Minato-kun will be here tomorrow. They're meeting with the village council to confirm it is them, and then they are going to lay down the law, so to speak. Mikoto's smile turned predatory for a second. I would pity the civilian council if I cared. But I don't. Naruto returned the predatory smile with one of his own. After that, Mikoto threw Sasuke over her shoulder and ushered her charges away, leaving Naruto and Sakura alone, who headed toward the rooms to drop off their gear in one before heading off to eat. Once inside, Naruto walked over to the farthest desk and went about putting his gear on the nightstand by the table. He heard the door being shut. He turned, hearing footsteps rushing toward him. Ki he was sensing wasn't hostile, so he simply finished his turn and felt two arms wrap around his neck and then a pair of lips latch onto his own. Knowing who it was, he deepened the kissing, causing her to moan. Sasuke is not good enough for her. I'm not good enough for her, but I don't care. She's mine and I'll do anything to protect her. Naruto thought, feeling Sakura slide her arms to his chest, lightly grabbing the fabric of his jumpsuit, which he mentally stated he was going to toss the moment he and his parents got a place to live, or had a place to live. When they separated, he looked into the jade-green eyes of the girl that meant more to him than anything in the world. There was confusion in those eyes, but he could see a spark. She wanted him, but wasn't sure if it was because of the kissing or if it was genuine. Take your time, Sakura-chan, he said softly. I don't know what's going on. You're both the same as before, but you're way different, and what I see when you look at me, it's kind of scary, Sakura admitted. Naruto nodded. I want there to be an US. Sakura-chan, it's an even bigger dream than my wanting to be Hokage. Sakura gently played with his jacket sleeve. What if there was another girl who wanted you as well? Hinata, the orange-haired Saiyan stated, causing her to widen her eyes. I've gone through a lot of changes, Sakura-chan. In the last few hours, some I'm willing to tell you though. You probably won't believe, heck I wouldn't believe it, but it happened. Tell me please, Sakura gently begged. Do you want Hinata-chan to join us? Naruto asked and only got a nod. With a soft smile the Saiyan leaned in again, began another deep kiss, and again Sakura moaned into it. Chapter 3. Sasuke Uchiha began to wake, feeling the back of his neck throbbing, and he was in a particularly bad mood. He kept his eyes shut and didn't move, sensing two people in the room with him. Judging by the faint breathing he could tell they were both female. One was the person he begun to hate almost as much as his brother, mostly for her total lack of loyalty to her own clan. "Well, that's done, Databane," a cheerful-sounding female voice stated closer to him. "Orochimaru is so sloppy, honestly, using a corruption seal, with a venom-based chakra boosting seal, and a subliminal mental seal, would have turned my poor godson into either a raving lunatic or a vegetable. I shouldn't be surprised though that Baka couldn't seal his way out of the Chunin exams when he was genin, according to Mito Obasan." Sasuke cracked his eye open to see who referred to him as their godchild. What he saw was arguably the most beautiful woman he ever seen in his life, the long red hair and violet-colored eyes. Athletic curves hidden underneath a skin-tight kunoichi outfit. Her face, while cheerful, looked vaguely familiar, like he's seen it before. Mikoto sighed. Will he be alright though? Stress from the seal and whatever corrupting effects had been placed on him are still present. Can't do anything about that. Brain chemistry is not my forte. Ask Inoichi, Databane, the redhead stated, making the Uchiha male frown slightly at the verbal tick, which was remarkably similar to the one Naruto used. Most likely he is a flight risk. He got a taste of that foul crap, and according to Anko, Orochimaru intended it to be addictive, so the Heaven's Curse seal will be used. I essentially forced Sasuke to go cold turkey. I see. If Fugaku hadn't been bad enough instilling him with all the arrogance and elitist bullshit that got our clan in the wars with the Uzumaki and Senju back in Madara Uchiha's day, now we got to deal with Orochimaru messing with his mind further outside of the Tsukuyomi that Itachi nailed him with before leaving. I'm surprised Lord Hokage even allowed him to be a shinobi. I'm sure he's not mentally right for it, Mikoto stated, causing anger to rise in the Uchiha male. What do I do, Kushina-chan? Regardless of the circumstances, I still love my sons. Mikoto frowned sadly. Though I may have given him the impression that I hate him, because of his father. Kushina chuckled sadly, still tactful as ever, I see. Is it any wonder why I did all planning when we pulled those pranks? The Uchiha matriarch pouted, turning her head. So I suck at tactics. I had Minato-kun and Tuchi for that on my team. The redhead snickered before giving the other woman a sad smile. I'm not one to give advice on raising kids, Mikoto-chan. I never got to raise my Sochi. I died, remember, and not once since being revived have I not regretted what happened to my son. The redhead had tears in her eyes. Naruto has ever right to hate Minato-kun and I, but he doesn't if anything because of the memories he absorbed through Vegeta-sama. He said he understood where we were coming from, gave us both hugs. She then giggled. Sasuke raised a mental eyebrow at the mention of this Vegeta. But he did punch his father in the gut. Mikoto crossed her arms over her chest, looking depressed. He forgave me as well. After the third explained to him the reasons why I wasn't allowed to raise him after your deaths, the Uchiha matriarch began sniffle. He forgave me. How can anyone be that compassionate or forgiving? Kushina wiped her own tears away. I guess he inherited his grandfather's soul. My dad was always like that. I bet he forgave Kumo as he lay dying after they attacked my home village. The women held a companionable silence while Kushina went about cleaning up. Sasuke, however, held an even lower opinion of Naruto now than he did before. Forgiveness and compassion. I knew the dobe was weak, but this just shows much. I'll never forgive that woman for abandoning me and father, or condoning Itachi's actions. But the dobe's mother got rid of the seal and now I'm weak again. I'll leave the village once I become Chunin. This place is for the weak anyway. All I need is to kill one of the stupid fangirls to get Manjikyu Sharingan. I would kill the annoying pink-haired one, but I'm not strong enough to take on the dobe right now. Speaking of which, who is this Vegeta and what did he give Naruto to make him so powerful? Even I could feel it coming off of him in waves. You awake, Gaki? Kushina lightly tapped the male Uchiha on the forehead, causing him to scowl and open his eyes. Wow, really grumpy when you wake up? Yeah, he's definitely Fugaku kid, the woman stated in a cheerful chirp, reminding him so much of her annoying son. HN, Sasuke grunted. Okay Mikoto, he's all yours, the grumpy Gus, the redhead pouted. Yeesh. The Uzumaki woman picked up her sealing brushes and left the room. This left an infuriated son and a chagrined mother behind, one glaring and the other raising her eyes, letting out a tired sigh. I hate you, Sasuke growled. Sharingan activated, the tomos spinning wildly. Mikoto closed her eyes, activating her own full-evolved Sharingan. You are my son and I do love you regardless of whose sperm was donated to conceive. But know this, Sochi, if you so much as think of running off to Orochimaru, I will not hesitate to track you down and kill you. He will not get the Sharingan, that is a promise. I'll make one of my own. When I'm finished with Itachi you will be next, Sasuke stated coldly. Don't start something you won't be able to finish, Sochi, because I guarantee there will be a lot of obstacles that will get in your way. I don't shy away from my friends and I'd gladly take their help in a heartbeat. Mikoto's own tomos begun to spin. Don't go this route, Sochi please, it only ends in tragedy for both sides. You turned your back on the clan and were willing to raise that dobe. That makes you both a traitor and weak. My mother died during the Uchiha massacre, loyal and in her proper place. You are nothing to me, the Uchiha male explained. The corner of Mikoto's eyes teared up slightly, but that was all. Her face looked like it was chiseled from stone. I see. Very well, I'll leave you alone, Sasuke Uchiha. Seems I was mistaken on who my Sochi was. Turns out he died during the massacre as well. Farewell. With that, the Uchiha matriarch left the room without a backwards glance. However, tears fell from the woman's eyes as she walked down the hall. Damn you, Fugaku, I hope you're burning in whatever hell you are in. Minato and Kushina were waiting in the shadows while the civilian and shinobi council members began taking their seats. What caused Minato to frown most was the amount of civilians on the civilian council. It had increased by 3 since he had been Hokage. Glancing over at his wife, who was clenching and unclenching her hands. This meeting is called to order, Sarutobi stated, puffing on his pipe. A miracle has occurred. What, the demon died in the forest of death? One of the civilians stated, looking hopeful only for a second, then his head came off his shoulders and a fountain of blood exploded from his neck. Everyone jumped back, fear evident in the civilian's eyes. Sarutobi sighed. Kushina? Said woman appeared in the light, followed by her husband, both glaring at the civilian council. The woman question bent down and wiped her kodachi on the corpse before sheathing the weapon. Next person uses that derogatory statement about my son again, I'll fillet them alive with a dull rusty kunai. Why dull? Minato asked with a raised an eyebrow. Kushina smiled sweetly at her husband, because it'll hurt more. Minato-kun, you silly. That's Kushi-chan all right, some barked with a smirk. The question is how? Blame our son, Kushina stated with a sad smile. And before you bakas, she glared at the majority of the civilian council who looked like they were going to protest. Get any ideas of bad-mouthing him or denying he did such a thing? The fox has been dead for 13 years. Matter of fact, it died 2 hours after it had been sealed inside Naruto. She turned to the shinobi council. How many of you remember the huge surge of chakra that night? She then turned to civilians. How many of you ingrates felt the intense pressure in the air that night? That was the death of the fox. Mabuki tentatively raised a hand. I remember that night. It felt like everything was pushing me to the ground for a brief moment, and it woke up my Sakura-chan. Troublesome, Lord Hokage, why weren't we informed, or why didn't you have Inoichi do a mind walk? Shikaku Nara asked. They all heard a meaty smack as the old Hokage slapped himself on the forehead. The old man went senile for 13 years, Kushina snorted, crossing her arms, glaring at the old Hokage. Sarutobi nodded sadly. I should have, then Naruto would have never endured the hardship he did. You're lucky, Vegeta-sama stated. All the physical abuse Sochi endured gave him what is called a Zenkai boost, Minato explained. What would that be? Choza asked. For every assault Naruto endured or near-death experience he had, when he recovered actually made him stronger. If the academy hadn't sabotaged his shinobi training, he would have been on par with me after his second year of the academy, Minato explained, causing the civilian both internally sigh in relief and cringe in fear, as most realized they were actively helping the demon get stronger. Hamura leaned forward. This isn't the point of this meeting, but I see the real point, and it's null and void anyway. None of us on the Shinobi Council will deny who you are, Minato. Kushina, simply too much evidence on hand to say otherwise. My question is, what happens now? Will you retake the mantle of Hokage, Minato? Not so sure I want to, the blonde former Hokage states. I entrusted my son to the village to be raised with love and affection. All he got was mental abuse and scorn on good days, with assaults and assassination attempts on bad days. I'll need a lot of convincing. The civilian council glanced at each other, looking desperate, mostly because they knew that for their beloved fourth to retake his position it would involve the demon in some way. Mabuki, however, snorted in disgust at her fellow council members. She harbored nothing but sadness at her inability to protect Naruto. She had even been disappointed with her daughter's actions against the orange-haired boy. What would you like, Minato-sama? She asked aloud, getting glares from her fellow council members. Public apologies would be nice for a start, then we work on restitution for my son, and finally the civilian council removes 2 more people from this governing body. I don't how. There are 12 civilians and 10 shinobi council members. There should only be the clan heads with the 2 advisors for the shinobi side, and 10 civilians, 8 representing the civilians branches, 3 for trade, 3 for commerce, and 3 for health and well-being, with Danzo as civilian advisor. Where did the other 2 come from? Minato asked. We represent the voice of the daimyo, the fat female representative haughtily. In other words, these are false titles brought in by Danzo to try and undermine the Hokage by forcing to compromise too much, no doubt to protect Naruto. Minato sighed, heavily crossing his arms, glancing at Kushina, who was glaring at Danzo. I will take back the mantle of Hokage. What if we don't want you back? Asked one of the more quieter council members. Mikoto frowned, noting his voice was off. She activated her Sharingan and looked around the room. Hayashi, can you activate your Byakugan? I can see chakra distortions in the room, but can't pinpoint them. What are you doing? We made a rules about this, the fat woman stated, glaring at the Uchiha. Who are you anyway? Mikoto Uchiha, the female Uchiha, smirked at the shock in civilian faces. No, I did not die with my stupid power-hungry clan. That was a blood clone. Hayashi, your Byakugan. Please. A faint nod. He activated his own Keki Genkai, and what he saw shocked him. Danzo, he growled, glaring at the man, what have you done? Before the old man could react, several chakra chains encircled him, preventing him from moving. The man grunted, glaring at the source. So it's true you have one of the Sage of the 6 Paths gifts, Kushina. The Uzumaki, the Senju, and the Uchiha are all distantly related to him, Danzo, so it shouldn't surprise you. Now what do you see, Hayashi? Kushina asked. Sharingan implanted all up and down his left arm, and one in his left eye, the Hyuga clan head stated in anger and disgust. Mikoto's own eyes narrowing in rage as they morphed into her Manjikyu Sharingan, surprising everyone. How dare you! I may despise my clan's arrogance and elitist attitude, But to have my son murder them to stop a coup d'etat and for you to swoop in and take what is not yours. A second later a flash of pitch-black flames ignited Danzo, who screamed, "Dai!" This caused everyone near the old warhawk to jump back in fright. Kushina dropped her chains, then ran over, pulling out a seal tag the moment it came in contact with the flames and burning corpse. They vanished. "Humph, didn't tell us you had that, Miko-chan," Kushina pouted. Mikoto winced as blood leaked from the corner of her right eye. She closed it, taking out a rag. "It was activated when Lord Third told me of your death, Kushi-chan. The grief of losing my two best friends was too much for me." Sarutobi sighed heavily, putting his hands under his chin, closing his eyes, thinking. Once his thoughts began to sort, however, he smirked, with both councils possibly being compromised. "I motion that it should be disbanded until evaluations are done on the mental competency of said council. This will be my last act as Hokage. And as my first act as returning Hokage, I'm putting the motion forward immediately. You will all report to Ibiki in the morning." Minato smirks at Inoichi, who groans. "Yes, even you, Yamanaka, your old boss, is perfectly suited for this." Only few civilians complained this time, mostly because they all felt utterly confused, even Mabuki, who wondered if her own thoughts had been invaded. She stood up and walked over to Kushina. "I apologize to you, Kushina-sama. I tried to curb my daughter's abuses on your son." Kushina simply giggled and waved it off. "Please, if I had a chance to raise Naruto, he would have gotten a lot more lumps on his head for being a baka than the ones your daughter gave him. If anything, I'm going to be thanking her. She kept him in line. According to Vegeta-sama, she reminded him of his own wife and knows she'll be good for him." Mabuki smiled faintly. "I'm glad there is no animosity towards my daughter, Kushina-sama." Kushina put an arm around the blonde woman, smirking. "Meh, water under the bridge, Mabuki-chan, databane. Besides, if my son has his way, we'll be in-laws by the time he turns 16. Mabuki nodded and sighed. "Rather it be your son than Mikoto-sama's. He strikes me as unstable." "Baka," Kushina muttered, thinking of her godson. Patting the blonde woman's shoulder, she walked over to Mikoto, ushering the Uchiha matriarch out of the council chambers. "Minato-kun, see you at home. I'm going to take Miko-chan out to get her drunk. I better see you in your boxers when we get home." Mikoto blinked. "What are you doing, Kushina? You need a drink to get your mind of what you just did, and you need a threesome to unwind, and I'm more than willing to share, databane." Kushina giggled, watching Mikoto's nose explode in a fountain of blood. "Still perving on my husband, Miko-chan?" Kushina?" Minato asked, looking uncertain. "What is this all about?" The redhead rubbed the back of her head, much like what her son did. "There's too much drama, Minato-kun, plus with how things have been since we got revived. I want to help my best female friend find some comfort." "Databane. But a threesome?" Mikoto asked, blushing. "We're not part of Jiraiya-sensei's pervy books, Kushi-chan." "Meh, details. I want hot steamy sex with my husband and best friend. Besides, we're still kind of the last of our lines, Miko-chan. Itachi is off doing whatever. I doubt he's sowing his wild oats, and as far as I know, Sasuke is either going to get himself killed or is gay, so no help for you on that front. We're both still young, and I love to give my son a baby brother or sister." She leaned, biting Mikoto's ear gently while whispering. "And I bet you still have that fantasy about me in Minato-kun, don't you, databane?" Minato sighed, shaking his head. He knew he couldn't argue with his wife regardless of how sudden this all was. "When did this start?" he muttered to himself. 3 words, Minato-kun, Clan Restoration Act, Kushina stated with a shrug. "Naruto-kun falls under it, Miko-chan falls under it, I fall under it." After a few seconds, Minato nodded. "I thought you and Mikoto already fulfilled that. Both of you have male heirs." "True, but in Miko-chan's case her heirs aren't viable. One is borderline unstable and the other is listed as a rogue nin. While I have an heir to the Uzumaki clan I want to give you." One for your clan, Minato-kun, the redhead sighed heavily. That and I can't raise Naruto anymore. He grew up without us. I love him with all my heart, but he doesn't really need us. I feel like we're just in the way. I'm sure he doesn't think that, Mikoto stated. He'll probably even think us invading his life will at first feel like a luxury to him, caring about his every little moment, like leaving the house, cooking for him, making sure he dresses right, asking him to be safe on missions, Minato explained. Alright, I get it. And that is only one motivation for the CRA, the other is I want my best friend to be happy. Fugaku was a grade A asshole and wherever he is I'm hoping some demon spawn is raping him right now. So what I'm saying is, Kushina paused looping an ARM around Mikoto looking up at her husband. I want Miko-chan to be my sister wife. Minato-kun. Minato knew he wouldn't win this argument. Matter of fact, the only argument he did win backfired on him. He turned to his longtime teammate on Team Jiraiya. He had to admit in terms of beauty Mikoto was on par with Kushina. He had always thought so, just Kushina had always been number one in his mind. Still, with Mikoto no longer burdened by the Uchiha elders, it was solely up to her now. This is something you'll have to decide, Mikoto. I can't win an argument with Kushina to save my life, and the one I did win made things worse. The redhead was torn between smirking and looking depressed, which made her expressions the Uchiha matriarch thought kind of funny. Allow me to wait and make a decision. Until after I talk with Sasuke again. I want to clear the air between us if he'll let me. Take as much time as you need. Minato smiled before a tick mark appeared above his right eye. How long have you been there, Jiraiya-sensei? The two women turned to see. The perverted toad sage crouched on the window sill scribbling away in his research book. Judging by the amount of notes he's taking and the trickle of blood on his lip, I'd say since I made the threesome comment. Kushina sighed, shaking her head, then began cracking her knuckles in preparation to dish out punishment. It's been a long time, pervy sage. Let's see if I can remember the art of putting you in traction, Databane. Mikoto followed her Sharingan spinning wildly. Yes, it has been a while, hasn't it, pervy sensei? Time to scream like a girl, she smiled overly sweetly. Crap, the toad sage muttered, stuffing his research book into his jacket before leaping from the window. Come back here and take your licks like a man. Kushina growled, leaping from the window, Mikoto following her. Minato sighed, glad someone hasn't changed much, as several ANBU in the council room chuckled. Mikoto walked quietly into the room she designated herself to and felt two gentle hands on her shoulders. Looking up, Kushina gave her a sad smile, gently pulling her into an embrace. The Uchiha matriarch promptly let all her built-up angst and frustration pour out into deep racking sobs, burying her head into her best friend's shoulder. Too far gone? Kushina whispered, getting a faint nod. I'm sorry, Miko-chan, I had hoped he'd be like Sochi. Mikoto took a few seconds to gather her breath, wiping her eyes angrily. He's too much like his father. I even suspect he'll ignore my warning. First moment he gets, he'll go looking for Orochimaru, she replied sadly. Would he be different if I actually raised him? I don't know, like I said before, I'm not the best person to ask about raising kids, Miko-chan. My one shot at it to date and I died on him. Your chance to raise him was shot down by circumstance, but look at how well Itachi turned out, for the most part being raised by you for 7 years. Granted, he's been branded a traitor for doing something for the good of the village, but still he turned out pretty well outside that, Kushina explained. I take it Minato-kun can't officially remove Itachi's missing nin status, the Uchiha woman asked. No, he's spying on this Akatsuki group, and if they found out might put him in danger. However, the hunter nins have been called off except for 2, and they've been told only to appear like they are hunting him to alleviate suspicion. You know, one of Pervy Sage's backup plans, the redhead explained. Mikoto walked over and sat gingerly, emotionally. She knew she was a mess, her son disowning her. Must be nice to have a son that loves you even after all the shit that's come to light. Remarkable is more like it, Kushina said, sitting next to her friend, putting arm around her again. I was being serious, Miko-chan, earlier. I want you to with me and Minato-kun. Would it be so bad to get Naruto's approval first? I already lost my son in all intents and purposes. I really don't want to alienate my godson too, the dark-haired woman stated. Yeah, be a good idea. Hopefully I won't be as awkward this time, Kushina giggled slightly. Of course, if he's making out with that pink-haired girl we might have to wait. Chapter 4. Kushina and Mikoto were wandering toward the Barak area where the Chunin examinees would rest until the end of the second round. They both heard soft conversation coming from one of the rooms and stopped. Flashback an hour earlier. Sakura stood at the entrance to the medical wing dormitories, about to go in to see if her crush was all right. Opening the door, her heart froze in fear, the look of unbridled hatred coming from Sasuke made her step back. What do you want? The Uchiha male asked in laced venom. I just wanted to see if you were okay, Sasuke-kun, the rosette-haired girl replied nervously, suddenly feeling like this was a bad idea. Okay, Sasuke drawled out. I am anything but okay. I find out I have not one but two traitors to my clan. That bitch Mikoto and my brother, the power I was given robbed from me by the Dobe's fucking mother. Sasuke stood up, stalking toward the girl, Sharingan active and spinning wildly. Now I have a fucking little whore like you asking stupid questions. I'll show you how okay I am. Before Sakura could react, Sasuke lunged at her and wrapped his hands around her throat. I should have done this before. This village no longer deserves the Uchiha's bloodline, he growled and squeezing. Sakura tried to pry his hands away from her throat, but his anger and increasing insanity made him far too strong. Naruto, help. As tears began to flow from her eyes, Sakura felt both betrayal and heartbreak that her longtime crush was actively trying to kill her. A second later, Sasuke's hands became limp and he slumped backward, feeling weak. The rosette-haired girl was about to fall forward onto the bastard, only for two warm arms catch her and embrace her. Not going to say it, but I think you got the gist of it. He tried to kill me. Sakura sobbed out, turning around and burying her face into Naruto's shoulder. Naruto glared down at the unconscious Uchiha. He couldn't do anything about him until after the exams, as much as he would like to. There were no witnesses, and regardless of the fact his father was now the Hokage again, he doubted he could justify killing the asshole for trying to kill his mate yet. He gently rubbed Sakura's back, trying to soothe her before picking her up bridal style to carry her away. Like I said, he doesn't deserve you, Sakura-chan whispered in her ear, kissing her forehead. I always wanted to do that, he chuckled faintly, feeling her tense slightly. You okay? Sakura's emotional distress seemed to magnify with Naruto's last statement. The image of a kind-looking Sasuke stating her wildest dreams and then overlaying them with a possible hinged Naruto. Remnants of her broken heart shattered completely at the realization that Sasuke had never said those words, that it had been Naruto in a henge all this time. Her sobs increased in tempo, her image of the Uchiha permanently destroyed. Before she could wallow in any more grief and sadness, she felt Naruto sit down on a bed in one of the barracks, gently reach up, caressing her cheek. Opening her eyes, seeing the unconditional love in the orange-haired Saiyan's eyes, the sobbing had subsided into sniffles as he held her gaze. And Naruto. I said it in the forest, you are my Sakura. I will not let anyone hurt you physically, and I will always be here to punish those who do hurt you. That is my promise of a lifetime, the orange-haired Saiyan stated, leaning in and capturing her lips in a kiss. After a long bout of tender kisses, he could sense through her energy that her melancholy was lifting ever so slightly. Browse just in Community Forum Beta's story search Dragon Ball Z plus Naruto crossover / Dragon Ball Z _N _Naruto crossovers /83/1402/ plus How can you care so much about me after all the stuff I did to you in the academy, all the violent turn-downs? I treated you worse than Sasuke treated me, and you still want me, why? Sakura asked. Naruto smirked, "'Cause you're feisty, you're not submissive. Being submissive while nice can be on occasions enabling. I am a prince of the village and I need someone who can smack me down when I'm being a baka. Let's face it, Sakura-chan, there are going to be times when I can be a real baka." Sakura giggled, sliding her arms around his neck. "I suppose that's true, but what about Hinata? You have to know she has had a crush on you since she was 5, she stated, looking worried. "I know that now," Naruto sighed, looking a bit guilty. "Though before I didn't. I always thought she had some sort of chronic fainting disease or something. I didn't realize I was the cause." "What are you going to do about it?" Sakura asked, again worried. The orange-haired Saiyan let a slow sigh. "How much do you know about the Uzumaki clan or the Namikaze clan?" The first Hokage married a woman named Mito Uzumaki, didn't he? But that's it," the Rosette replied. "Yeah, gave birth to a son whose wife had Tsunade in Nawaki, making both my cousins," Naruto explained. "Now let me explain to you what happened in the forest after Orochimaru hit me with the 5-pronged seal. And he did, including his life, before they became teammates. By the end of it, Sakura was in tears, both in joy and sadness, joy at Naruto having his parents back, secretly thanking Vegeta for his surprising kindness, and her tears of sadness at how Naruto's life had been for 13 years her own abuse contributing to his misery. Naruto wiped her tears away with his thumbs. "With all this being said, I probably fall under the CRA. Sure, my mom will probably want to give me a brother or sister, but that would only 2 Uzumaki and Namikaze heirs need at least 4 or more to make a viable restoration of a clan, I think." Sakura shook her head. "It's no less than 6, no more than 8. I remember the chapter on it in the academy. The last clan that needed it was Shino's clan. His great-grandfather had 3 wives, if I recall. Same with his great-granduncle. They struggled at first mostly because of the Kikai insects," she shuddered. "Girls don't like bugs as a general rule, unless they were raised around them." Naruto felt the rosette shift slightly, sliding off his lap, moving to simply sit next to him. "Do you want to try being a couple, maybe bring Hinata in?" Looking up into his eyes before nodding silently, her feeling a lot of the emotional weight had lifted from her shoulders. "How would you approach her? She's the heiress of her clan, Sakura-chan. She's probably known about the CRA since she was 4. While I don't want to exploit her submissive nature, it may come into play." Naruto sighed. "Then there is her confidence issues, that needs to be addressed, and I know most of it stems from her clan's elders." Sakura nods. "She should be in the tower by now." Naruto stood up, extending his hand, which Sakura took, and they set off to find Hinata and her team. Didn't take long, they found them 2 rooms over, talking to their sensei. "Yo!" Naruto up his hand in greeting. "En Naruto-kun," Hinata blushed. Kurenai turned along with Kiba and Shino. "Hey Kurenai-sensei, can Sakura-chan and I borrow Hinata-chan for a moment?" the orange-haired Saiyan asked. Hinata blushed, images appearing in her mind. "Yes, please borrow me, Naruto-kun." Kurenai smiled faintly, nodding as Naruto walked up, taking the girl by the hand and leading her out, her face scarlet. Sakura just shook her head, following the 2. "What was that all about?" Kiba asked, then glanced down, hearing Akamaru whimper. "What's with you?" Kushina giggled, hearing her Sochi talking apparently to the Hyuga heiress. She glanced inside, and what she saw caused her to raise an eyebrow. "What?" came Mikoto's question. "Sochi may be ahead of the curve, Miko-chan," the red-head gestured to the cracked door. Mikoto peeked in and saw Naruto talking to the Hyuga heiress while councilwoman Haruno's daughter, who was sitting next to the heiress, whose face was getting redder with each passing moment before she passed out. Naruto sighed, looking at the fainted Hinata. She took it pretty well. "Don't cha think," he chuckled. Having first apologized to her for not realizing she liked him, she then stuttered out that it was okay. He then explained to her what he explained to Sakura about what happened in the forest and what will likely happen once the second exam was done. Finally he brought up the Clan Restoration Act and asked her if she wanted to join Sakura in trying to be a couple, that is when she promptly fainted. Sakura shook her head ruefully, just about how she takes everything regarding you. I can't believe I didn't see it before, Naruto sighed, rubbing his head before shifting. Not nice to spy on me, cousin, he smirked. Hee. Kushina and Mikoto walked into the room, one looking unrepentant with a huge smirk on her face while the other held a healthy blush at being caught. So a step ahead of the game, Sochi? More or less, he glanced at Sakura whose eyes and mouth were wide in shock. Sakura? Sakura shook her head pointing at Kushina, that's your cousin. Yep, that's me, Kushina chirped rubbing the back of her head. You're Sakura, huh? The woman stepped up close and leaned forward examining her potential daughter-in-law, the very one her son had such praise for, hearing the scary similar background they shared. A little out of shape but nothing some good hard training can't overcome for the both of them, she stated seeing Hinata waking up. I'm sure they'll make excellent additions to the clan, Naruto-kun. The orange-haired Saiyan smiled. How are you, Mikoto Obasan? Mikoto teared up. I haven't been a very good godmother, Naruto-kun, and I was a terrible mother to Sasuke and Itachi. I abandoned them because of their father, instead of bringing them with me like I should have. I left a blood clone to raise them. You what's a blood clone? Hinata asked. It is a clone created using chakra and a pint of person's blood. The blood sustains the chakra, preventing it from dissipating, and it lasts 2 days after it dies. It has the same overall properties as the shadow clone in that it retains information after it dies, Kushina explained. It also is one of Mikoto's personally created jutsus. That's awesome, Mikoto Obasan, can you teach me that? Naruto asked, looking eager. The Uchiha woman smiled faintly. I might. There is one thing I need to ask you if Kushi-chan doesn't interrupt. Kushina pouted but nodded. Would you object if I entered into a relationship with your father? Naruto crossed his arms in mock thought, before snorting, I'd be a hypocrite if I did, Mikoto Obasan. I just asked both Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan if they wanted to be in a relationship with me. He smirked hearing Hinata geep, glancing at said girl whose face was bright red. Kushina giggled. Now I know why I recognized her. She's Hitomi's daughter, right? Snapping her fingers, looking at Mikoto. Yes. Hitomi and Hayashi had Hinata shortly after you died, Mikoto explained. The redhead giggled. She was so much fun growing up, Databane. Sighing, Mikoto turned to Hinata, who looked confused. Kushina loved to tease your mother to the point of her passing out from blood loss from it either rushing to her face or coming out of her nose after one of Kushi-chan lewd comments. It broke her out of her shyness, Kushina stated with a pout. Poor girl needed it. Could you imagine her wedding night with Hayashi if she kept fainting? Talk about total disaster, Databane. Hinata eeped again, then perverted Hinata appeared. Ride Naruto-kun while watching Sakura-chan squrm on his face, yes. Or better yet, kiss Sakura-chan while she's underneath us. Naruto takes us both. Hinata's nose was bleeding, causing Kushina to raise an eyebrow, shaking her head. The Hyuga heiress blushed again, pushing her index fingers together. Thank you, Kushina-sama, for accepting me. Kushina smiled sadly. I had nothing to do with it. This is all Naruto. I wasn't able to raise him like I dreamed of. I died on him. As much as he has forgiven me and his father, I still feel like I failed him. The orange-haired Saiyan put his arms around his mother. Never. You weren't separated from me by choice. You were stolen from me by whoever that masked Uchiha was. And whoever he was, I'm going to slaughter him if I ever see him, Databeo. The other three females all smiled at this exchange. My Sochi is awesome, Kushina smiled, giving the other girls a thumbs up. Chapter 5. 3 Hidden Rain Genin, the Rookie 9, Team Guy, the Sand Siblings, and Kabuto's team stood in the center of a large arena staring up at 3 shinobi many have never seen before. The first, standing to the right, caused Sasuke to glare heatedly at, was a fairly beautiful woman with shoulder-length black hair, dressed in Jonin attire only instead of wearing just the Uchiha as she did before on the back of her flak jacket, it was replaced with a new elaborate insignia. The Uzumaki swirl, with 4 lightning bolts striking inward toward the Uchiha fan, the bolts representing the Namikaze clan, signifying her recent addition into the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans while still holding true to her Uchiha blood. On the left was a woman with unparalleled beauty dressed in a red skin-tight kunoichi stocking, shoulder harness, and wielding 2 kodachi, the Uzumaki and Namikaze mixed insignias on her back and shoulders. She got a welcomed smile from her son and his 2 girlfriends. The one in the middle, however, gave a certain disguised Sannin pause and fear. He wore a Jonin outfit, with a long white sleeveless cloak with red flames on the bottom and the word 4th written along the back. Who the heck is that? Came Kiba's question. Where's the 3rd Hokage? He re-entered retirement. A lot of things have happened in the last 5 days that you probably haven't been made aware of. I guess it is considered a miracle to some and a curse from the heavens to others. My name is Minato Namikaze. 13 years ago I died sealing the 9-tailed Biju into my son. Most of you even know him. Minato paused, chuckling. Hell, I've been told he looks a lot like me, just has his mother's chin and cute little nose. Baka Taozen. Naruto growled, thrusting his fist out at his father. Everyone turned to the whiskered mark orange-haired Saiyan, the Rookie 9 and Team Guy minus Sakura, Sasuke, and Hinata looked on in shock. Wait, how are you alive? Ani, is Naruto really your son? Ino asked nervously, having been told on numerous occasions by her parents in the past not to pick on Naruto but ignored them because everyone else was doing it. To answer your first question, Ms. Yamanaka, I'm afraid that is classified. To answer the second, yes, Naruto is indeed my son, Minato explained. As for the 9 tails, due to circumstances I didn't even know had occurred, I inadvertently sealed someone in with the fox, and this person for all intents and purposes obliterated the 9 tails. That can't be possible. To kill a Biju you'd have practically destroyed the planet. No one on this earth has that power, Baki stated. The person I sealed into Naruto wasn't from this earth. He was pulled into our world through some sort of time-space jutsu, Minato stated with a sigh, not sure why he would reveal such things, but he felt Naruto's friends needed to know he wasn't a threat to them. The fox is dead and has been for 13 years. What of the person that killed the fox? Is he still sealed inside Naruto? Shino asked. A very perceptive person you are, Shino. No, the man died and was resurrected in the same way my wife and I were. Minato smirked internally, purposely leaving out the fact that his son got all the Biju slaying power when the man died. Minato-kun, let's get on with the closing speech thingy, Kushina pouted. The blonde Hokage sighed, shaking his head. Not time yet, Kushi-chan. I count 21 bodies, that needs to go down unless there are people willing to drop out. Kabuto was the sole person to do so, leaving 20 left. Okay, hey 8, looks like you're up. Asterisk cough asterisk understood Hokage-sama. A man walked up looking a little worse for wear, bags under his eyes and a pale waxy complexion. To thin the numbers, we will be having a preliminary 1-on-1 tournament, hopefully to get the number down to 10 or less. Orochimaru stood in the shadows seething as Kabuto appeared. Our plans will need to change. There is no way the invasion will succeed. Suna will likely pull out now out of fear. Yes, the 4th Hokage being resurrected in some way and within the last 5 days. I don't understand how that is possible. Kabuto stated, looking confused. The snake Sannin frowned going through the events in the last week that could have caused such a drastic change in events he then remembered during his little meeting with Anko. He felt something akin to compressed killer intent centered around where he left Sasuke and his teammates, with the recent revelation that the fox had been killed and the only thing sealed in the Jinchuriki was an unknown male with the power to kill a Biju, left him with only one theory. When he slapped the 5-pronged seal on the Namikaze Gaki, he started the chain of events or hastened them. Unless it's a ploy of Sarutobi-sensei's in some way, do I take the chance, the Sannin thought a moment, we alter it slightly in form. Our forces to proceed with caution. And I want Taiyuya to stay behind. Little did Orochimaru know that Karen Uzumaki and Kintsuchi were currently spilling what they knew about Orochimaru's operation and invasion plans without even being coaxed, both having concern for their shared friend. One having been rescued from a beating and possible rape, and the other finding out she had family in Konoha. Shino watched as his opponent dropped, looking like he was wasting away. Your genjutsu failed. Why? Because my Kikai insects detected the illusion and negated them while you stood back confidently. They snuck in behind you and began eating away your chakra. In the future you will learn not to assume anything. Winner of the match Shino Aburame, Hayate stated as medic Nin appeared to help the aim Genin as said Genin passed out. Naruto looked on, bored out of his mind. Everything seemed to move almost in slow motion for him. During each match he could easily find 60 different holes in each person's fighting style. Sasuke's he could see he left his back far too open. Tenten was entirely to weapon-based. Any decent long-range jutsu could cripple her, and did, as Temari systematically destroyed her, with her wind-based jutsu. Shikamaru was probably the only one he couldn't really get a read on, but that was because the lazy genius ended the match quickly. The puppet user relied way too much on his dolls and probably sucked royally with taijutsu. Sakura, as much as he loved her, the academy taijutsu just didn't suit her. It made her look awkward. She needed something a little more up close and personal. He had been teaching her how to bring out her ki, but barely 3 days of instruction was not enough, so she and Ino ended up in a draw for their match, but mostly it was Sakura apologizing to Ino for ruining their friendship over someone not worth their time. All right. Look at that Akamaru, we got a breeze fight, Kiba stated, ignoring his companion whimpering. Naruto glanced at the sign and smirked, jumping up to the railing, then jumping down. He walked into the center of the room next to the proctor, crossing his arms waiting for Kiba, who was having trouble with Akamaru. What's wrong with you? This'll be easy. I don't care if he's the son of the 4th Hokage. He's still a dobe. Naruto snorted, glancing up at Kiba. Maybe you should leave your master alone, Kiba. It's obvious he doesn't want to fight. Kiba growled, jumping down. Oh, that is it. I'm going to wipe the floor with you, dobe. Doubtful, looking up at the Akamaru, Naruto smirked again. You should have your pet trained more, Akamaru. He's getting quite rabid. Maybe someone should knock him down a few pegs. Well, since I'm here I'll volunteer, but know this, Kiba, you'll never lay a hand on me. Kiba scoffed. Fine, then I guess I'll use my feet. The wild-looking teen dropped into his family's taijutsu stance while Naruto hadn't moved an inch, arms still crossed over his chest. Watching Kiba with a bored expression. GG. Kiba charged forward. Fang over Fang, his body moving in a horizontal tornado toward Naruto. Everyone gasped as Kiba seemed to go right through the orange-haired Saiyan. When the wild-looking boy skid to a halt, he looking worried, afraid he accidentally killed Naruto, only to turn and see Naruto hadn't moved and completely unscathed. What, I hit you. Strike 1, Kiba. I'll give you 2 more chances to hit me and then you're out, the whisker-marked Saiyan stated. Growling in anger, he performed another Fang over Fang, skidding to a halt, and turning around he saw again that Naruto was not only unharmed but he actually yawned. Is that it? I must say, Kiba, this is beginning to bore me. The Inuzuka heir was beside himself with rage and a small amount of fear. He hit Naruto his best jutsu twice and nothing happened. Running forward this time, Kiba launched into a series of strikes and kicks, none of which connected. How is this possible? Kiba gasped, taking 2 steps back. Naruto shrugged. Simple, you're too weak to challenge me, and that was strike 3 by the way, reaching up with his index finger and appeared to lightly tap Kiba on the forehead. The tap sent Kiba flying into the far wall after he slumped to the ground. Hayate ran over to checking him. He's alright, I held back a lot, most he'll have will be a few cracked ribs and maybe a concussion. Naruto quietly jumped back up to the railing, landing next to Kurenai and her students. Sorry, Kiba kind of set me off. It's okay, and Naruto-kun, Hinata replied, giving him a shy smile, while Shino simply grunted, adjusting his sunglasses. With a slight shake of his head, Naruto stepped closer to Hinata, who blushed lightly. You got such a pretty voice, Hinata-chan, need to work on not stuttering, he smiled softly, causing the girl to turn redder if that was possible. Before she could say anything, Naruto brought her in and gave her a gentle kiss. And Naruto-kun kissed me, he kissed me. Hinata swooned before falling forward into Naruto's arms. Sakura sighed, really need to break her of that. Yep. Wedding night will get really boring if she keeps passing out after every kiss, Naruto chuckles. Sakura snorts, what about each article of clothing she'll have to remove? Hinata woke up long enough to hear them say that before she fell backward from a nosebleed. Oh, Naruto-kun, she whispered. Hinata-chan. Naruto shook his head, a smile still on his face, then turned to Sakura, might have to help her in the clothing removal department, Sakura-chan. Rolling her eyes, Sakura gently fanned the Hyuga heiress. Oh no, she whispered, dread in her voice. Hinata slowly woke to see her name and the last person she wanted to face. Niji-nisan, Hinata whispered nervously. Watching the glare Hinata was getting from her cousin, Naruto stepped forward, gently putting his hands on her shoulders, kissing her forehead. Win or lose, Hinata-chan, prove to him that you are not weak. The Hyuga heiress nodded, her face set with determination. She walked down the stairs, walking up and standing across from her cousin. You are fated to lose here, Hinata, Niji sneered. Niji-nisan. Shut up, Hinata stated in a surprisingly cool tone, sliding into her gentle fist stance. Niji scowled, sliding into his stance. Fine, it seems you'll need to be re-educated in learning your place, Hinata. One simple gesture would be all I need to end the fight, Niji-nisan, you know that. But you also know I'll never use it, cannot bear to cause you or any other branch member pain. As one of Naruto-kun's betrothed, I can ask the Uzumaki clan to find a way to negate the pain-inducing aspects of the caged bird seal and have every member of the clan use it as it was intended to be used, Hinata explained as both she and Niji went into a series of strikes and near misses. You are deluded, the main branch will never accept it, Niji replied. Watching the fight from a distance, Naruto had to admire the forms, however he noted Hinata had trouble with it. The ridged FRM seemed to hamper her natural flexibility. With a sigh, she's losing. Her form is just too choppy, she overextends her arms when she needs to spin and kick, a frown formed. And what makes you an expert on taijutsu forms, Dobe, Sasuke scoffed. Funny you should taunt, wuss, Naruto stated, causing the male Uchiha to growl. That guy who killed the Biju, he gave me all his skills and experiences before he died and was revived, that included all his knowledge in various combat styles. So shut up, I wasn't talking to you, team, I was talking to Kakashi-sensei and Sakura-chan. Sasuke seethed to himself, clenching and unclenching his hands. How strong did the Dobe become, and where can I get that strength? Vegeta landed outside Goku home. Looking around, he noted that it was far bigger than it had been before Videl had entered Gohan's life. With her married into the family, the Sun homestead had expanded to include a bigger main house, an apartment for Goten, and a small library and office for Gohan to do whatever research that intrigued him. He came to the entrance to the main house and heard Kakarote's woman growling. Looking through the door, he saw the woman cleaning like she was in a war. Entering the house he watched her and noticed how tense she was. "What is wrong with you?" he asked aloud. Chi spun around clutching her duster holding it like a sword. She blinked a moment before she sighed. "Just cleaning." "Sounded more like you were trying to kill your floor," Vegeta snorted. "I'm looking for Kakarot." "Out, past the radish field, he's training Goten again," Chi stated mournfully walking over and sitting at her dining table. "Uptight, moody. And I heard longing. I wonder how long it has been since Kakarot mated with her." Vegeta left the house lifting off lazily floating over the radish field having a fond memory of it, drawing radishes to determine who would fight two of Frisia's leftovers. Beyond was a large canyon where he spotted two dots below sparring and wrecking. The surrounding the area. Landing just as Goku finished a combo sending Goten flying. "Kakarot." Goku fell out of his stance. "Oh hey Vegeta, what's up?" "I've come to ask you to use your instant transmission to get me to that shinobi world I died in," Vegeta stated. I need to see it first before I can go there," Goku explained. "Blast it," Vegeta softly growled. A part of him, the more caring part that Bulma helped cultivate and meeting the orange-haired boy helped solidify, though he would go to his grave to deny wanting to protect said boy. Granted, the boy probably didn't need any protection in his world, as the strongest being he could sense from inside the boy matched that of Zarbon. In his transformed state, which was someone Naruto could easily handle. Still, the Saiyan prince felt he needed to protect one of his subjects. Thinking quickly through his options. Maybe talking to one of the Kais. Which of the 4 Kais runs that realm? Kakarot. If it's alternate universe, I suppose we'd have to talk the Supreme Kai of space. She's the sister of the Supreme Kai of time. And not nearly as cheerful, Goku explained. While he was portrayed as a dimwit most of the time, Goku had a fairly decent education during his time in Otherworld on the ways and means of what the Kais protected and just how many there were. He was even offered the job of Supreme Kai from Kibito Kai, seeing as how Goku was already doing that job protecting his realm. Goku wanted to wait until he died of natural causes before he take the job. That way he know Chi would be with him in Otherworld, which was his other stipulation. Kibito Kai agreed to it. Couldn't we use the Dragon Balls? The Saiyan prince smacked himself in the head grunting at the pain. Bulma has them at the house. Another one of her bingo tournaments she holding for Trunks's birthday this year. Oh yeah, just hope the god of destruction is still sleeping this time. I'm still not strong enough to beat him, Goku pouted slightly. Only you would train for a rematch against a god, Vegeta snorted. Aside from that, your woman looks tense, Kakarot, as both he and Goku took to the air unseen signal from them both to begin flying toward Capsule Core. Goku waved to Goten, who waved back, lifting off to head back home. When was the last you mated with her? Goku blushed slightly, then started to think. He paused in his thoughts. If you're thinking about it, then you clearly don't mate enough with her. No wonder she's uptight. Vegeta rolled his eyes. How many times with Bulma? Goku asked. At least twice a week or more depending on her mood, the Saiyan prince explained. And she's always in the mood. It wouldn't surprise me if your woman is taking to using her laundry chores to satisfy herself. Goku looked a little chagrined. He had been so focused on training to fight the next big threat that would appear he'd been neglecting his husbandly duties. The fact that Vegeta had pointed it out made him feel worse. Right. When we finish making sure this Naruto is good, I'll go home and make up for lost time. Vegeta grinned slyly. You're welcome, Kakarot. Rubbing the back of his head, the naive hero chuckled weakly. So what are you going to use your second YSH for? I don't know. Vegeta hadn't really thought about it. He had hoped that wouldn't have needed the Dragon Balls. Maybe YSH for Bulma, Videl, and Chi to become Saiyans or something, the naive hero stated casually, scratching his chin in thought. The Saiyan prince came to an abrupt halt, floating in the air, eyes the size of saucers, before he groaned, slumping his shoulders. Now I feel like a real baka, the amount of times we wished using the Dragon Balls, and that has never occurred to me. Only for this naive man-child to figure it out is infuriating. Not dignifying an answer, Vegeta launched forward, Goku quietly following with a completely clueless expression on his face. Bulma placed the Dragon Balls in the center of her backyard and stood back. Well, Vegeta, they're all yours. The Saiyan prince stepped forward, looking down at the 7 balls that at one time he wanted to make the wish for immortality with. Now, some 15 years later, he was presented with them, free to make any wish he chose, and the thought of immortality was in the back of his mind. What good is immortality without Bulma? If I gave her the same, she'd grow into despair after losing her friends and our son to the ravages of age. I have found something much more long-lasting than merely being able to live forever. I'm satisfied with how things turned out. Come forth, Shenron, and grant my 2 wishes. The sky darkened and lightning danced across the sky before a massive form shot from the 7 balls, taking the shape of a coiled dragon who stared down. What wishes may I grant so I can leave? 2 years ago Purunga revived 2 souls and sent them back to their realm. I would like Kakarot and I to go to this realm. Is this possible? Vegeta asked. It can be done. What is your second wish? The massive dragon asked. That all Saiyans with mates be turned into Saiyans, if that is possible? Vegeta questioned. The ones known as Bulma, Chi-Chi, Videl, Sakura, and Hinata can be turned into Saiyans, as they are genetically similar to the Saiyan race. The one known as Gyur cannot, as her genetic makeup is different from that of the Saiyans. The dragon eyes glowed. Bulma looked on in confusion. For a second she screamed as her physiological structure started to rewrite. Before Vegeta could go to his wife's aid, both he and Goku vanished. It is done, farewell. Chapter 6. Hinata gasped, trying to fight through pain, staring down her cousin after being knocked down a 4th time. Her vision no longer enhanced by her Byakugan, as her chakra pathways were under extreme duress. So at first the light burning sensation that started at her fingertips, while annoying, didn't really compare to the rest of the pain she was in. But that rapidly changed as the burning sensation skyrocketed from just her fingertips to every place on her body, and the sensation intensified. Dropping to her knees, clutching at her shoulders, she began to moan. She was so distracted by her own pain that she didn't hear her future sister wife going through the same problem. Proctor, something is happening to Hinata, Niji stated, sounding confused. Her chakra is spiking. She's not the only one. Haruno-san is doing the same. Hayate nodded, watching and hearing as both girls started to scream in agony. Naruto, unsure what was happening and torn between jumping down to help Hinata or look after Sakura. In the end he created a shadow clone to jump down and check on the Hyuga heiress, as the proctor called the match in Niji's favor, mostly to get Hinata medical attention. Naruto kneeled down next Sakura. Sakura-chan, can you hear me? And Naruto. I feel like my body is on fire. What's going on? The rosette-haired girl gasped. Her eyes rolled back as she promptly passed out from the pain. No sooner had she passed out, the transformation began. Naruto could see the major and minor muscles in Sakura's arms coil and tighten, then relax. Her milky pink hair slowly began to dark into more of a bright red, and then it began to spike, making her look a bit more wild-looking. Below, clone Naruto watched as the same thing started happening to Hinata. Her short bluish-black hair turned an almost pitch black, got longer, slightly shoulder length, and start spiking in all directions. For both the clone and the original thought the girls looked sexier like this. The clone scooped Hinata into his arms, bridal fashion. The same could be said for the original as he picked up Sakura. Both girls snuggled closer to their prospective Naruto as the medic Nin escorted the orange-haired Saiyan and his clone to the infirmary. The lead medic Nin worked over the two girls feverishly while Naruto stayed in the room but out of the way. The injuries Hinata sustained in the fight with Niji before the incident occurred had been aggravated and made worse, so she had been the main priority. Sakura was simply rendered unconscious by whatever had occurred. I don't understand this. Lady Hinata's genetic structure has been rewritten. Nothing about her is the same genetically aside from the Byakugan to her father or sister. How can this be possible? What do you mean? Naruto asked. If I had to guess, she's not human anymore, the medic Nin explained, then taking a blood sample from Sakura and examined it. The woman frowned, sitting back, crossing her arms. Genetic markers have the same 6 additional tags but a different genetic code. They're from the same species, just different people. Naruto looked lost and confused as well as worried. Browse just in community forum beta's story search. Dragon Ball Z plus Naruto crossover, /Dragon Ball Z _N_Naruto crossovers /83/1402/. Plus. A strange high-pitched whine appeared behind them. They are Saiyans like Ugaki, a deep voice stated, causing the medic Nin and Naruto to turn. Dressed in a blue tank top and a blue baggy pants with wild hair sprouting from a radically receding hairline. Next to him was a man dressed in orange and blue and had hair that looked like a palm tree. Vegeta Ajizan? Naruto blinked. How did you get here? Weren't you in your home dimension? Yes, the Saiyan prince tossed a capsule the size of the pinky finger to Naruto, who caught it. What happened to your woman? We're going through the Chunin exam. She got pretty beat up before something weird happened. She and Sakura-chan started screaming and Sakura-chan said she felt like her body was on fire. Now you said she's a Saiyan. What did you do? Naruto explained in detail, the medic Nin looking both confused at who these two strange men were and how Naruto knew them. As I said, they are now Saiyans. I used the Dragon Balls first to given the location to this dimension, so I can give you that capsule inside is something we'll discuss more in detail later. The second wish I should have worded a bit more carefully. Vegeta frowned. Goku chuckled. He wished that every Saiyan who had mates, that the mates get turned into Saiyans. His chuckle turned into a frown. Are they all right? He gestured to the two unconscious girls. One is suffering from fatigue done from this wish. As for the other, the stress from the transformation combined with the damage from her fight is not doing her body any favors. The medic Nin explained. Kakarot, did you bring any senzu beans? Vegeta asked. The naive hero dug into the front of his shirt, produced a small brown sack. Never train without them, pulling on the drawstrings, and pulled out a small green kidney-shaped bean. Can she chew or swallow? What good will that bean do? The medic Nin asked skeptically. It has healing properties, woman. She chews and swallows it. Her injuries, no matter how severe, will be healed. Vegeta smirked slightly. Both girls will get a sizable Zenkai boost. From this, I count you as lucky, Gaki, he stated, shifting his gaze to the orange-haired boy. Naruto watched as Goku gently put the small bean into Hinata's mouth, then used his hands to grind the bean between Hinata's teeth before holding the girl's nose, forcing her to swallow. A second later, Hinata straight up, her injuries vanished and her eyes wide, looking around. Where am I? Naruto sat down next to her. You're in the infirmary. You collapsed during your fight with Niji. He watched the girl's face fall. Hey, he gently touched her chin, bringing her face and eyes to meet his. Don't be ashamed, you fought well and you didn't really lose by knockout, you were incapacitated by an unforeseen circumstance. Naruto winced. Wow, I think I hurt myself. They all heard a faint chuckle. Using 3 big words in a single sentence must have hurt. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Sakura trying to sit up but feeling so weak. Goku handed her a bean. Raising an eyebrow, looking at the orange-clad elder Saiyan, what's this? Eat it, it'll fix you up, Naruto explained. With a shrug, Sakura did just that, biting into the bean, chewing it, making a face before swallowing the moment it went down her throat. Its power activated and all the fatigue vanished. Wow, what is that? The rosette-haired girl asked. It's called a senzu bean. It's grown at the top of Corinne's tower in our dimension, Vegeta replied, crossing his arms. Now that they are feeling better, I like to discuss to the Gaki and his mates why I came here. If you want, woman, you can have the Gaki's parents present, since I know he is probably your village's leader again. The Medicnine felt offended but said nothing, leaving. A few minutes later, Minato, Kushina, and Mikoto appeared. Vegeta raised an eyebrow, taking a light sniff. If I didn't know better, Minato, I'd say you were half Saiyan too, mates, like your son. I am impressed. Minato blushed, rubbing the back of his head. Blame Kushina, it was her decision. Indeed, the Saiyan prince smirked, looking at the red-headed woman with a newfound respect. The woman in question smiled slyly at her husband, putting both her hands behind her head, trying and failing to look innocent. Gaki, you have my knowledge, so you know how to work a hoi poi capsule, I take it. Naruto nods, pulling out the capsule in question and pushed the top, tossing it in the air. A huge explosion of smoke, clear, sitting in pristine condition on the ground, was a strange device with a 9-inch screen and a flat microphone. What is that? Naruto asked. Bulma said it's an interdimensional communicator. This way you and I can communicate across dimensions, and now that Kakarot knows where your home dimension is, we can come here using his instant transmission technique, the Saiyan prince explained. Naruto picked it up, looking it over before sitting it on the desk. Wow, this is really cool. He then paused, turning and running up to Goku. Can I learn that instant transmission jutsu? Oh, and can you train me? I'll bet it'll be really awesome. The naive, heroic Saiyan chuckled. Well, I like your enthusiasm, that's for sure, but don't you need permission from your parents first or something? Oh right, Naruto zipped over to his parents and his godmother, performing the sad eyes jutsu. Can I please? Kushina jumped back in shock. Who taught you that jutsu? I think I saw Ino-chan use it once on her dad. I thought was really cool how he buckled under it, so I asked Ino-chan to teach me. Naruto scratched his cheek in thought. Come to think of it, that was probably the only time Ino-chan was ever nice to me. Sakura looked down sadly. The same could be said for Hinata, as both missed a lot of opportunities, or in Sakura's case squandered opportunities, to get to know the boy, both coming to love more and more with each passing day. Well, I suppose, but only if we can teach you too. I'm pretty sure most of what we gave you is pretty jumbled in that head of yours, Minato stated. The problem is who's going to train you for the entire month leading up to the finals. Oh, the prelims are done, by the way, and your numbered was picked. You'll be in the first match against Niji, the fourth Hokage stated, watching his son nod. Humph, why don't we all train him and his women? Vegeta stated. We each take turns. Goku smiled. That's right, the hyperbolic time chamber. That's awesome, Vegeta, with the amount time we can get. I'm sure all three will master what we can teach them. Mikoto raised a hand. What is this time chamber? It's a room where a person can get a year's worth of training in a single day. Vegeta crossed his arms, pursing his lips in thought. Gaki, any thoughts on how to train your women? We have names, you know, Sakura growled. And we're not his, we are our own persons. This made the Saiyan smirk. I see why you like the red-haired one, Gaki. She reminds me of Bulma. Goku chuckled sadly. Wish Goten and Trunks would find girlfriends like her. The Saiyan prince rubbed his chin in thought. While this dimension doesn't have much in the way of a challenge, you or I, Kakarot, this place does have something our dimension lacks. What's that? His naive rival asked. Stronger women. The Gaki's mother and godmother are strong. Power level must be at least 1000 for the both of them, Vegeta stated. Kushina pouted. I'm only at 1000, poopy. Vegeta began to go over what he saw while trapped inside Naruto. I see, you simply do not grasp the full potential of your ki. You dilute it instead of harnessing it. Goku looked confused. What does this have to do with Trunks and Goten? Simple Yubaka, this world have females that would be perfect for them, the wishy-washy females of our dimension do not attract our sons. Like all Saiyans we want our women to be strong either physically, mentally, or emotionally. Bulma while didn't have physical strength made up for it with her mind, your Chi-Chi, Kakarot was raised by her father to be a warrior so you grew attracted to her through her warrior spirit. And while her father was a fraud, Videl holds a lot traits in common with your Chi-Chi making her ideal for your eldest. Goku nodded getting the gist of what his rival was saying. Okay, I get it, so you want Goten and Trunks to come here to look for girlfriends. Exactly, Vegeta stated letting loose his first genuine smile ever that wasn't a smirk or a sneer. I have watched that Gaki of mine for 3 years go through his flavor of the week. Bullshit, and it sickens me. With a sigh the orange-clad elder Saiyan nodded. Yeah, Goten has the same problem, Chi-Chi isn't happy about it either. Minato spoke up, we're getting off track here, we were talking about training for Naruto, Sakura, and Hinata. Yeah. If you can free a few days sometime in the next month I can take you to Kame's Lookout in my dimension and you can each train your son, I can even find people willing to train the girls. I think 18 and Gohan could probably train the bright red-haired girl. Gohan knows lots pressure points and healing things while 18 could probably teach her some of her techniques. As for girl in the white coat I bet Piccolo can train her, she has the same feel Gohan had when he was 4 before you and Nappa arrived. Will your pint-sized friend help his woman with the feisty one? Vegeta asked smirking at the tick mark appearing above Sakura's right eyebrow. My name is Sakura, the red-haired Saiyan growled her aura exploding in bluish-white flames. Naruto gently rubbed her shoulders after she calmed down pulling both her and Hinata into an embrace, the poor Hyuga blushing deep red at the contact. I'm sure Krillin will help a bit I doubt Gohan or 18 will really need any, Goku replied. So you, me, and Naruto's parents train him. While Piccolo trains White Coat Girl, 18 and Gohan train Sakura. Hinata, the Hyuga spoke up. Hinata then, Goku smiled. Minato nods, I'll let Sarutobi know I'll need him to sit in for me for a few days, but will this instant transmission jutsu work? Goku put 2 fingers to his forehead and a second later vanished, another second later he reappeared holding an irate blue-haired woman. Goku Yubaka, what do you think you're doing? Hee hee. Sorry Bulma, just checking to see if my instant transmission worked across dimensions, the orange-clad elder Saiyan explained. The blue-haired woman grumbled crossing her arms over her chest, well I see what Vegeta means, she does kind of remind me of Sakura-chan, Naruto chirped up. Shut up, Gaki, Vegeta snorts walking up to his wife. What were you doing when Kakarot showed up that got you upset? Jijr. Trying to get my hair to stay down, Bulma snapped reaching up to push her darker blue almost purple colored her down. That wish you made about turning me Shishi, and Videl into Science has given me a case of permanent bad hair day, do you know how hard it is for me to keep my hair looking as good as it does? Not to mention I had go through having my DNA rewritten, let me tell you, the blue-haired woman flung her hands in the air. It was not pleasant and that's not even the best part. I'm late. To what? Goku asked. My period Yubaka. Bulma shouted then slapped her hands over mouth blushing a deep crimson. Ugh, Goku scratched his head vaguely remembering when Chi-Chi told him she had been late. Congratulations Bulma. The blue-haired sighed turning to her husband scratching her cheek, I was hoping to tell you a bit more privately. Vegeta stood there stunned for a moment before reaching out and pulling his wife into a hug. I am pleased, Bulma. Wow. That's awesome, Naruto stated. Chapter 7. The Z-Fighters and Spouses, minus Goku were gathered around the foray of Kami's lookout waiting for Goku to bring Naruto, his parents, his godparents, and his future wives from their dimension to the Z-Fighter's dimension. Gohan however frowned a bit. Thinking back to 2 years ago, which in Naruto's universe was 5 days ago. Strange, it's like the time between our dimension and Naruto's is shifting almost like two wavelengths trying to sync. We go from a 15-year gap in their world to a 2-year gap in our world. Now, everything seems to almost blend together seamlessly. How can that be? The eldest of Goku's sons turns and addresses his friends and family, detailing this very thing. You're right, Gohan, this shouldn't be possible. Unless time and space are being manipulated in some way, Dend replied, looking confused. But how? That would be us, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty, a cheerful female chirped up, causing everyone to turn. Standing there were two strange-looking female beings. One was roughly came up everyone's chest with purple skin and orange-colored hair. The second woman was of regular height with light blue skin and white flowing hair going almost to the ground. Both had black eyes, pointed ears, and wore the robes of the Kais. Hello, the shortest cheered, holding up 2 victory signs. You're such a child, Time. The taller of the two stated. The smaller one pouted, I happen to like being carefree. Space, you should do the same. Why, you're Supreme Kais? Dend. Yep, the shortest smiled. I'm the Supreme Kai of Time, and this is my sister, the Supreme Kai of Space, and as I said, doing what we did to sync space and time so your dimension and that of Naruto's dimension can match up wasn't easy. A lot had to change. Most of the events in Naruto's universe either never happen or will be changed drastically. All thanks to Vegeta's unselfish acts. Is it going to be good or bad? Krillin asked. Mostly good and a few things bad, the Supreme Kai of Space stated. Most of the events that should have happened in Naruto's universe will never happen. The most recent events surrounding Naruto's Chunin exams will even be changed slightly. The events after that though will be changed drastically, to a point where Naruto will be facing enemies in that world he would have waited 4 years and sacrificing a lot of lives to take care of. Now it'll be a freaking cakewalk. The Kai gave Vegeta an irritated glance. Also thanks a lot for that general wish about the Saiyan spouses being turned into Saiyans. You do realize the wish is still active. What do you mean? Bulma asked. She was still irritated at her husband for using the dragon to change her DNA, but in the long run she felt that it was a benefit, one she had actually asked to start training with her husband, something she thought had been a time waster before. While she felt sore afterward, she never felt so energetic now, like she could do more and keep focused, plus the prospects of being able to fly without a vehicle in the future was nice. Not to mention, according to her husband, she'll be able to keep her good looks well into her 80s. It was a general wish. He didn't specifically point out individuals, he said Saiyans as a whole. This means if Trunks, Goten, the baby growing inside you, Little Pan, and any children Naruto's wives produce have spouses, they will be turned into Saiyans, and the cycle will continue. With that one wish, Vegeta has assured the revival of the Saiyans in 2 different dimensions. Which is why my sister and I had pulled some strings with the ultimate Supreme Kai and the Supreme Kai of the multiverse to sync your dimension with Naruto's. The browse just in community forum beta's story search. Dragon Ball Z plus Naruto crossover. /Dragon Ball Z _N_Naruto _crossovers /83/1402/ Plus. Blue-skinned woman rubbed her forehead. What a headache. Vegeta looked dumbfounded at first before shaking his head, giving a smirk and crossing his arms over his chest. Interesting, but what of our universe's timeline? It slipped into another alternate events version like many others. You may recall future Trunks' timeline is still ongoing. Many of the events that have occurred in your timeline hasn't occurred in his. So much so he's actually working for me, the Supreme Kai of Time explained. There are several others. She taps her lips with a fingernail thinking. 1. Major change is Majin Buu's reincarnation has been stopped until the next generation. Something about the ultimate Supreme Kai wanting Pan to grow up around her grandfather. Plus it'll give her more of a chance to become friends with. The short Kai froze blushing. Oopsie almost gave away the surprise. This caused a collective face fault from the fighters, sending them all crashing to the ground. The Supreme Kai of Space sighed, looking at her sister. Well, we gave you the reasons why your dimension and Naruto's dimension are now synced. I would also suggest you take up Naruto's offer to attend the Chunin exams. It'll be beneficial to both sides. With that, the two Supreme Kais Vani sh just as Goku brought Naruto, his family, and extended family. What? Goku asked, looking confused. It's nothing, Goku, Piccolo stated. So which one is the one I'll be training? Hinata weakly raised her hand while trying for the 30th time since the last 2 days to get her hair to lay flat. So far no such luck. I am ARUM, Mr. Piccolo? The Namek sighed, walking up to the girl. Great, another Gohan, he smirked. At least I know how to start then. Gohan shook his head. I almost feel sorry for that girl. Why almost? Videl asked, shifting Pan to her other shoulder. Well, Piccolo was never what I call gentle, but when she comes out of the time chamber, I guarantee you anything she has been shy about she won't be shy about anymore. Gohan explained. Sakura waited until Hinata and Piccolo went around the corner and into the building. So what, she'll come out? Kiss Naruto-kun, start wearing less conservative clothing, punch someone when they piss her off if that's possible, and actually talk without stuttering. Bah, there's enough sexual tension in that girl. She won't simply kiss the Gaki, she'll jump him, Vegeta snorted. No, he's mine first. Sakura snapped and blushed, causing Naruto to smirk and Jiraiya to giggle while writing in his little research book. Jiraiya, the rosette-haired girl, stomped over to the giggling pervert, snatching his book away. She then handed it to Mikoto, who promptly set it on fire with one of her fire jutsu. Thank you. Piccolo watched as Hinata explored the outside of the living area within the time chamber, which was about as empty as a Saiyan's stomach after a major fight. The room was predominantly white, endless white to be exact, stretching as far as even Hinata's Byakugan could see. What a lonely place, came Hinata's reply. Which is why we'll only spend a day in the real world here. Goku did explain the properties of this room, Piccolo asked. Why yes. How do we start? Hinata asked. Piccolo pulled out a hoi poi capsule and tossed it out into the middle of the empty space. A huge puff of smoke. Later a large spherical object appeared with a door. Inside is a gravity chamber. For the first 6 months you are going to periodically go from 10 times to 500 times normal gravity. He held up a hand, stalling Hinata's protests. You aren't human anymore. Your body will slowly adapt to the increase in gravity to a point that walking around 500 times gravity will feel like you're walking in 1 times normal. Piccolo quietly pulled out a scroll. In that time you'll memorize these basic martial arts forms for Aikido and Tai Chi. Looking at the scroll, Hinata tilted her head, questioning, don't you understand? Your martial arts is too rigid for you. For your natural grace you need styles that allow you to move and flow like water. I will give you the form of Jeet Kune Do after you've managed to get the basics of these stances. Piccolo crossed his arms, noting the girl's hesitance. Your gentle fist technique is based upon a more rigid form of Jeet Kune Do, focusing on well-placed strikes to the weak points in your world's chakra network. Tai Chi is about flexibility and flow, while Aikido is about misdirection and letting your opponent provide the power to your moves. The true essence of your family's style is about flow and misdirection. That's why I stated you need to flow like water. Piccolo paused. In short, you need to be like water. If you put water into a cup it becomes the cup, you put it in your canteen it becomes the canteen. water flows but it also crashes, it shapes as well as erodes. Do understand now? Hinata's eyes sparked at such wonderful philosophy. I understand, Piccolo-sensei. Thank you for watching the video, and comment down below if you want to see the next part. And of course, like, subscribe and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.